I definitely remember 1989, and as a matter of fact, I remember being here in 1989. George Bush the first, Dan Quayle was our vice president, and we were...
Heady times.
Yeah, we were actually about to head into another recession at that point. And from, I think, the end of 1990, the beginning of 1991, with the Gulf War. And I remember very, very well a bunch of restaurateurs 20 years ago getting together and saying, this is the end of fine dining. Everybody was talking about that. Everybody was talking about this crazy term called downscaling. And you saw restaurants taking away the linen and putting on, you know, paper, whatever those butcher block tablecloths on the table. And steak became hamburger, and hamburger became meatloaf, and meatloaf became meatballs, all the kinds of stuff that we're actually seeing a lot of today. And it just really, it dawned on me back then, just as it dawns on me today, that of course it's not the end of fine dining. And what does fine dining mean anyway? Does it mean that you're eating good food? Of course that's not dead. I think once people have been exposed to better and better and better food, better and better wine, they're not going to all of a sudden say, I don't want to eat well anymore. I think what has been the case, and this has been a steady erosion that's taken place over these 20 years. 20 years ago, there was still a very, very prevalent sense that to be considered the best restaurant, not fine dining, but the best restaurant, you probably were going to have the word le or la in front of your name. And you probably were going to have waiters still wearing tuxedos, and you probably were not going to have a lot of women in the dining room, even 20 years ago. And I know that sounds crazy today, but I do believe that there has been a steady erosion, not in the quality of in the fineness of what we eat, but perhaps in the trappings that people expect have to go with eating really good food. And so here we are at the cusp of, or wherever we are in the midst of this current recession. Who knows exactly where we are in the continuum of it right now, but it's very, very clear that the desire to keep pushing the envelope on how we eat and how we drink is as vital and vibrant as ever. But I think people are totally looking for ways to make the experience an easier thing for more people to do.
Because those laws and les some of those have closed.
Well, in New York City, I think that, and I'm sure someone's going to tell me I'm wrong, but La Grenouille is one of the last that seems to be standing right now of the ones that were at the forefront. Le Cirque is still kicking around, but there's not a whole lot more of them that were prevalent 20 years ago. Back then, I think, Jacques, you would agree, and Alan, there had to have been at least 10, and they were always at the very, very top of the pecking order.
But there is still, you feel, a demand, an interest in fine dining, just not with those, like you say, trappings.
I think it all depends on what you mean by fine dining. Fine meaning good, absolutely. Better. In fact, I would argue that there's probably better food today and more of it than there was back then. It's just that we don't need the tuxedos and kowtowing to our servers and all the stuff that never really mattered to people anyway.